Hello, mic testing. Hello, आ रहा है ना आवाज? So, welcome everyone. We will be presenting the B quiz from Quiz Club IIT Patna in association with the ESL of IIT Patna. So, at first, we'll go through the rules once. So, in total, there are 25 questions in the quiz, and each question is worth 10 points. And the marks will be equally divided in the case the question has more than one part. So, for instance, if a question has three parts, two parts, so we'll have 5 points for the first part and 5 points for the other part. Also, please fill your answers in the G form only. Do not type out the answers in the YouTube live chat, or others will be able to see that. Or like also don't type it in the WhatsApp group. Only use the G form for submitting the answers. And we will have a rerun at the end, which basically means once we go through all the questions, we'll go in reverse order from the 25th question to the first question, and we'll stay on each slide for some time, for a few seconds. And the G form will close 1 minute after the rerun ends. So when we go from 25 to question number 1, after that we'll wait for 1 minute, and then we'll close the G form. So you won't be able to submit after that. And question number 5, question number 10, 15, 20, and 25 are star marked questions. They are a bit harder than the others, and they will be used to settle ties in case any two teams have equal scores. Also, no googling, it would lead to disqualification, and trust me, we would know if you google the answers. At last, happy quizzing. So, we'll begin with the first question. Question number 1. In the 20th century, this two word phrase X was developed to represent the economic and social situations of Central American nations of that time. A specific fruit firm owned much of the land and resources in these countries, the Central American countries, giving them sway over the local governing bodies. The economy was entirely dependent on the export of a certain fruit, and collision between the government and the fruit company resulted in further exploitation of the working class for the profit of the private fruit company. All of this created conditions for the working class to rebel and overthrow the democratically elected governments in these nations. So you have to identify the term X. Also focus on the fruit company part and the Central American nations of the 20th century. That would lead you to the answer. Okay, moving on to the second question. So, second question, the author of the renowned book X has been widely criticized for his anecdotal guidance given in the book, which provides no actual advice. He has repeatedly claimed, both in seminars and his books, that higher education is ineffective for achieving financial success, even referring to college students as suckers. In the late 2000s, he was exposed for the frauds his firm was perpetrating by propagating false and often illegal financial advice to quote, get rich quick. Several participants of his seminars have also sued him, claiming that his lectures were unimpressive and that they encouraged illegal practices. He referred to his books as advertisements for his highly priced seminars, and the firm which conducted these seminars was declared bankrupt in 2012. So you have to identify this four-word book title, which was also the name of his company. So I'm pretty sure most of you would have, like, even if you haven't read this book, you would have heard about it, surely. A four-word book title. Okay, moving on to the third question. Question number three. Last year on the special day of 24th September, X India had nothing to say, literally. So X is a company here. So X lovers were in for a quite surprise as the brand celebrated the day across special outlets in the country. Choosing the path of action over words to spread awareness and acceptance, the brand aptly demonstrated their commitment towards strengthening gender and ability parity with the X Shamta program. So, Code, our founder, firmly believed that everyone had a seat at his table, and his values and beliefs continue to inspire us even today. We have always been committed to enhancing inclusivity for this community. What better way to start a conversation around inclusivity than helping spread awareness ourselves on this day? So you have to identify the company X, and you have to also identify what did they do on 24th September. So pay close attention to the first line and the fans of the company were in for a quiet surprise. Okay, moving on to the fourth question. When we think about medical advances, X is not generally the first thing that comes to mind. Developed in the mid 19th century, its discovery not only changed surgery but medicine as a whole. Initially, the method was despised by the church and surgeons alike, and unfortunately, such convictions exist even today. At the time, it was most notably used by Queen Victoria to aid the birth of her baby. She described the experience as, quote, the effect was soothing, quietening, and delightful. X was voted as the most significant discovery of the past 200 years by numerous doctors in a survey conducted by an English science journal. So you have to identify X, which is used before almost all surgical procedures. Okay, moving on to the fifth question. So remember, this is a star marked question. So in case two teams have the same scores at the end, we'll use this question to break ties. So Mando is an Italian company who has supplied their products for 12 Olympics now. We innovate, you win is the motto of the company. Is the motto the company lives by, as the product is used by many athletes at the Olympics, regardless of their nationality or sponsorship deals. They offer the same equal quality product to every user, even you and me. But of course, the athletes make better use of it. Designed for speed, it has three-dimensional rubber granules with a selected polymeric system integrated into the top layer. Runner Kyron McMaster has said it better. I felt my legs were just turning over. So you have to identify what product of Mando, a complex engineering marvel finely tuned for Tokyo, is being talked about here. So focus on the line that they offer the same equal quality product to every user at the Olympics, like even you and me. Okay, moving on to the next question. Question number six. After having a stellar year in 2020 in terms of new customers, 2021 wasn't like that for X. They even failed to meet their own estimate of adding new customers. In later part of January of this year, their stock prices plummeted by over 20%. 60% of its revenue comes from non-US markets, and the CEO of X expressed his disappointment with India in recent earnings as they received underwhelming response from the Indian market. And you also have an accompanying graph on the right, so you have to identify the company X. So think about what was new in terms of the year 2021 and what could have led to the decline in which service based company. Okay, moving on to the seventh question. So a certain lady from Guatemala came up with the idea of combining small food items to help mothers who visited X with their children. An American businessman saw this and spoke with the proprietors of X, who wanted to improve the dining experience for families with young children. He believed that if we could offer youngsters their own neatly wrapped food, they would cease nibbling from the table. He watched his little kid being drawn to flashy cereal boxes and thought, why not do the same with eggs? Everyone would be happy. So, what was introduced after this? So, focus on the last line. He watched his little kid being drawn to flashy cereal boxes and thought, why not do the same with eggs? Everyone would be happy. Okay, moving on to the eighth question. So, question number eight. In a period of high inflation, people are discouraged to hold large amounts of cash because the value deteriorates quickly relative to the rising prices in the economy. As a result, people tend to hold most of their money in a bank account, and they have to make they only keep a very small amount of cash with them. This causes them to make regular trips to their banks to withdraw cash to pay for the goods and services. These regular trips add to the cost and thus creating a X cost, signifying what exactly is being warned out in these regular trips. So the X cost is now used more generally to describe all the costs associated with having to hold small amounts of cash. So you have to identify the term. So the last line of the second paragraph would be helpful, would act as a primary hint in this question. Okay, moving on to the ninth question. Question number 9. X and Y have been engaged in long standing feud since the duo first worked together in 2009. The decade long rivalry has played out in the form of workplace pranks and social media trolling. In 2019, they decided to end their Twitter war by making up on a video. In a YouTube video titled Truce, the two are sitting next to each other, stating that they decided to do cross promotions for each other's beverage brands. In the hilarious video, X made a sincere promotional ad for Y, while Y kept the joke going by calling X names and pouring out X's product onto the table. So you have to identify the person X and the person Y, and brownie points for identifying the name of the beverage brands. So 5 points for identifying the name of the person X and 5 points for identifying the name of person Y. Okay, moving on to the 10th question. Again, this is a star marked question which would be used to resolve ties. So during the Second World War, India faced a shortage of rice. So eggs were an immediate casualty of this short supply since rice is a key ingredient in this. Enter an innovative chef, the founder of Y. He experimented with other ingredients that were easily available and found that he could make excellent eggs by replacing rice with semolina. Soon, this new eggs became very popular and they also greatly enhanced the popularity of the Y brand. Today, while these new eggs continue to be a signature dish, also become a well-known brand which produces and markets a wide range of packaged foods. So you have to identify X, the product, which is a dish, and the company Y. So think about what like has rice as a key ingredient, which could be replaced by semolina, and a company that produces and markets a wide range of packaged foods. Okay, moving on to the next question. Question number 11. X, established in 1949 by two friends who met on a tour initially to sell construction materials. Later, they changed to different product and opened several branches across the northeastern United States, with corporate office in New York. In 2009, the manager of its most profitable branch quit along with some other employees and formed a rival company Y, which later merged with X. In 2009, another company bought X, but in 2012, this company dissolved and it became X again. So you have to identify the companies X and Y. Okay, moving on to the next question. Question number 12. So, Indians are known for their creative ideas and innovations. In 2016, Saif Siddiqui also came up with an innovative idea. He designed a clothing item with a certain unique property and was inspired from a component on a bike. About the clothing item and why he chose it, he replied, Dash are the perfect accessory. It suits everyone and is designed to go with any outfit. This item is also called paparazzi proof as it helps celebrities to avoid unwanted pictures of them to be taken, especially at night. So you have to identify the clothing item and what was the unique property about it. Okay, moving on to the next question. Question number 13. So this product was originally created in Thailand and was popular among blue-collar workers such as truck drivers. During a trip to Thailand, an Austrian businessman tried it and discovered that it was pleasantly refreshing and helped him recover from a jet lag. So this businessman partnered with the original creator to help make the brand a global success. The original inexpensive version was marketed in Thailand, while the newer, more fashionable version was marketed in the Austrian ski resorts, with price being the primary differential. As a result, the corporation commanded both sides of the economic spectrum. Also, in the last decade, the company paid around $30 million for a misleading advertisement claim that many mistook for the petitioner's inability to grow musculoskeletal protrusions, but it was actually due to their misleading promises of performance enhancement. So you have to identify the product or the company that we are talking about here. Okay, moving on to the 14th question. Question number 14. The largest of its kind telescope on Earth is the Large Zenith Telescope. Of its kind, let me explain. So the mirror in the Zenith telescope is made from X and it rotates at a rate of about 8.5 revolutions per minute. Creating telescopes with X is much cheaper than using glass mirror lenses that have to be ground down and shaped to form the correct curvature. However, because the mirror is made from X, which has a certain unique property, the telescope can only be pointed straight upwards, hence the name zenith, which literally means path above the head. If it was tilted in any other direction, it would just be wasted. So you have to identify what the telescope's mirror is made from. That is, identify X. Okay, moving on to the 15th question. So again, this is a star marked question. So this Indian multinational company X, headquartered in Mumbai, was established in 1897. One of the founders was a lawyer Y who practiced in Africa and later left his profession. Initially, they made scissors and other surgical equipment for a British company, but the deal broke as they weren't able to come to an agreement as the company wanted the product to have Made in India logo. Then the company X launched another product which took the market by storm, and it came with a guarantee letter, which wasn't the case with the other competing companies. In 1902, they launched another product, and the brand became synonymous with this product. They also manufactured something which was majorly used in the first Indian elections in 1952. So you have to identify this historic company X and the product that they manufactured for the elections in 1952. Okay, so from now on, my fellow quizmaster Abhimanyu will take over.
Right. Thank you, Pushpendra. I think that would be enough time on this question. Moving on to question number 16 now. So in 1990s, Pepsi came out with Crystal Pepsi, a non-caffeinated drink with less sugar. Unlike the red brown cola, these drinks were clear liquids, riding on the idea that clear liquids are good for health. The drink was initial hit with record sales. Coca Cola, in an effort to stop it, came up with a kamikaze plan and launched Tap Clear, a rival to Crystal Pepsi. The plan was successful, and in under 6 months, both the drinks were out of the market. So, what was the advertising or marketing strategy that confused the customers, which ultimately led to failure of both the products? Okay, right. That should be enough time on question number 16. Moving on to question number 17 now. Right. So, in the early months of COVID pandemic in India in 2020, a group of artisans from a specific area in Jharkhand modified their traditional art form to prepare eggs. That started working on this art form quite early for their use in April for the traditional New Year celebrations. But since the pandemic was declared, their work would have been a waste if not for redesigning them to be used as X. Since the art form traditionally depicts the triumph of good over evil, it is quite apt that it came up as the weapon in the war against the virus. Identify X, and which art form are we talking about? Right. Moving on to question number 18 now. So this is the story of how X reinvented their marketing strategy by doing it wrongly. Because of a customized product, because of a customized product made the customers feel special, they started posting it on social media platforms. X hence got free marketing from their customers. People soon got bored as it became common among the customers. X observed that as well and thought, if it has become common, why not do it incorrectly for a change? And it worked. Customers were eager to post these deliberate mistakes on social media, and even new customers were attracted to see it. So X did the wrong rightly. Identify the company X and what strategy of theirs is being talked about here. Right, that should be enough time on this question, I guess. Moving on to question number 19 now. So one of the first X patents is US 3285 22 8, right? Which was filed on 19 May 1965. It can be used at altitudes up to 12,500 feet without the help of gravity at any angle at operating temperatures from range of minus 34 to 121 degrees Celsius and has an estimated shelf life of about 100 years. An urban legend around X is that US spent a large amount of money to develop it, while the Soviets just used a trivial version of it, as was also suggested by a certain idiot. Reality was far from it, as US also used the trivial version before the development of X. But due to its fragile, flammable nature, dangers that dust posed to electronics, and the inadequate quality documentation produced by this trivial version, a better solution was needed. Identify X. Right, I guess that should be enough time on this question. Moving on to question number 20 now. Please note that this is a star mark question. Right. So X first arrived in Western Europe in late 1500s and became a fashionable status symbol for wealthy Dutch merchants. They had unpredictable broken colors, which was highly prized due to its rarity. As techniques improved, more people began collecting and speculating on prices of eggs. Eventually, even stock traders joined the game, pushing the average price of a single egg to the point where it exceeded the annual income of a skilled worker and cost more than some houses at the time. Eventually, prices peaked and then drastically collapsed over the course of a week, causing many hoarders to lose their fortunes. This event was termed as X Mania and is a model for the general cycle of a financial Y. It rises and grows exponentially till one day when it suddenly collapses. So identify the terms X and Y here. The event is known as Examania and it is a general cycle of a financial Y. You have to identify X and Y. Right, that should be enough time on this question. Moving on to question number 21 now. So, after the 1952 Olympics, X got its distinctive feature by trading two bottles of whiskey and some money. X has long been a preferred source to teams and individuals playing in a variety of professional sports. The Olympic Committee restricted X from displaying its distinctive feature in the early 2000s, owing to the complaints from rival brands that the feature exceeded the branding area mandated by the committee. X protested that it was a design complement rather than a brand mark, yet it was nevertheless prohibited. As a result, X used the number 3 instead. Instead, right. So since the 1980 Olympic Games in Moscow, as X has been linked with the stereotyped Russian gang members who drink a lot of vodka and listen to hard bass. So identify X and their distinctive feature. Right. I guess that should be enough time on this question. Moving on to question number 22 now. So this bizarre sports sponsorship incident comes from UFC, right? So with the fighters wearing minimal clothes in the fight for obvious mobility reasons, sponsors often end up crowding the poor shots with their logos. With summer in full swing, Y wanted to capitalize on this and had a brilliant, innovative, or at least what they thought it was, idea. Right. So they asked their pale fighter to showcase their product with the help of his body, literally. The UFC officials were sternly against it. Though the fighter wasn't reprimanded for the stunt, UFC definitely wasn't humored by this loophole. The fight did have more highlights, though a 49-second KO and possibly the worst walk of music in Hazel's history, all making the incident even more memorable. So, how did they showcase their product? The second paragraph should serve as the major hint for this problem, for this question. Right. Moving on to question number 23 now. So, a 7 feet tall bronze statue of X has been erected on New York City's Wall Street to represent the millions who struggle under a capitalist system. The organizers, founders of Sapien Network, said they put the statue up to show that Wall Street has become completely out of touch with the needs of everyday people. 10,000 bananas surrounded the statue to make a point about wealth disparity. So identify X, who first made headlines in 2016. Right, pretty short question. We'll be moving on to question number 24 now. Right. So when the set decorator saw the design of this prop, he knew that it would become the symbol for the whole series. There were several hurdles in actually making it work though. The crew tried some special effects with flashlights, but it wasn't good enough. Somehow they couldn't get the handle right. Then one day, while buying a camera equipment, out of desperation, they asked the store manager for something they could use as a handle. He pointed to some boxes, and the very first box they opened had these cameras handles as shown in the photograph on the right. They put some rubber around it and it was it. So which prop are we talking about here? Right, I guess that should be enough time for that question. Moving on to question number 25. Please note that question number 25 is again a star mark question. Right. So, death of irony is a term used by many cultural critics to describe this current situation. Anything ironical now can be co opted by institutional giants before it actually creates any meaningful ripple or point. This happened with a certain ironic song criticizing capitalism and its product. Weirdly, it soon turned into a real trend on social media where influencers are using it to actually talk about themselves in a way, an ironical way. The hook of the trend, one shows their childhood photo in comparison to their current age photo, and that's supposed to be some way inspirational. The subject of the song can tomorrow use this song over a clip of him flying in space, and nobody will bat an eye. Why? Because the culture has already consumed it unironically. So identify the subject of this song. Again, the song is from a real trend. So the description of it is given there in the question. You have to identify the song, then the subject of the song. Right. So I guess that should be enough time for question number 25 now. We'll be doing a quick rerun to just familiarize with all the questions. You have to answer them correctly, right? So we'll have a quick rerun right now. So this is question number 25 again. So identify the subject of this song, Death of Irony, and the description there in the second paragraph. Right. Question number 24 now. Which prop are we talking about here? The image serves as a major hint. That is question number 23 now. 7 foot bronze statue struggling under the capitalist system. 10,000 bananas surround the statue. Made headlines in 2016. Identify X. Right. Question number 22. Incident from UFC. Used the pale fighter for showcasing their product with the help of his body. Summers is the time, so that should be relevant as well. So how are they showcasing their product? Right. Question number 21 now. So Olymp used by a variety of professional sports, right? And then from 2000s was restricted by the Olympic Committee. Is stereotyped is linked with stereotyped Russian gang members who drink a lot of vodka and listen to hard bass. Identify X and their distinctive feature. Question number 20. Now moving on to question number 20. That is again a star mark question. Right. So, broken colors first arrived in Western Europe late 1500s. The price rises, grows exponentially till one day it collapses. So, the identify the two variables x and y. Right. Moving on to question number 19. First patent in 1965, can work in extreme conditions. Use the trivial version of it before it was made. Identify X. Right. Question number 18 now. Invented their marketing strategy by doing it wrongly. So identify the company X and what strategy is being talked about here. Question number 17 now. Artisans from a specific area in Jharkhand, right, made X. X was used in the war against COVID-19. So identify X and what art form is being talked about. Moving on to question number 16 now. So, right, what was the marketing strategy that confused the consumer and made both Tap Clear and Crystal Pepsi fail? Right. Moving on to question number 15. Again, a star mark question. So please note that. Right. So multinational company X came with a letter, a guarantee letter, and manufactured something that was used in the first elections in 1952. Identify the company X and the product they manufactured for the elections. That is question number 15. Now, question number 14. So, a telescope. So, what is the telescope's mirror made from? A Zenith telescope. Right. Identify X here. X is a material, so you have to name that material. Right. That is question number 14. Now moving on to question number 13. So originally created in Thailand, collaborated with Austria, made paid 13 million for misleading advertising claim. So what product or company is being talked about here? That's question number 13. Moving on to question number 12. Own, right. So inspired from a bike, a component on a bike. It's a perfect accessory, suits everyone and can go with every outfit. So what is the clothing item and what is unique about it? Paparazzi proof. Right. So that should be question number 12. Moving on to question number 11 now. So two friends, 1945, made several branches in northeastern United States. Identify both the company X and Y, a rival company Y, that broke off from X and then later merged again back to Y. Right. Right. Question number 10 now. Please note again that this is a star mark question. So, shortage of rice. So, X was immediately affected by that shortage. Right. So, X is the product, Y is the company. So, identify by X and Y. Again, Sama question. Moving on to question number 9 now. Right. Long-standing feud. First worked together in 2009. Right. So identify both X and Y. Brownie points for their beverages brand. Made ad for each other's companies. Right. That's question number 9 now. Question number 8. Period of high inflation. The cost that comes with keeping small amount of cash. Right. What exactly is being gone out by these regular trips to the bank? Right. So identify the term X. Right. That is question number 8. Now moving on to question number 7. Certain lady from Guatemala. Right. Little kids being drawn to flashy cereal boxes. So what was introduced thus? We have to identify that. Right. Question number 6 now. Had a stellar 2020, not as good in 2021. So identify the company X, underwhelming responses from India. That is question number 6. Moving on to question number 5, stomach question. Mundo, an Italian company, but like right, three-dimensional rubber granules, electric polymeric system integrated into the top layer, right? A equal quality product for all of us, and a product designed a product for the Olympics. So, what product are we talking about here? Right, that is question number five. Moving on to question number four now. The effect is soothing, whitening, delightful from medical advances, used in almost all surgical procedures. What is X? That is question number four. Moving on to question number three. Right. Nothing to say, literally. Quite surprise. Action over words. Those are all the key hints. Right. So, inclusivity is being talked about here. Spreading awareness. So, identify the company X and what did they do on 24th September last year. Right, that is question number three. Moving on to question number two now. Renowned author. All of you might have heard about this book, a famous four-worded book. Also, the name of the company. Right, right. That should be enough time for question number two. Question number one, the last question. So, in the 20th century, two-worded phrase. So, for the Central American nations, identify the term X. And that should be it. Right. I'll stop sharing now. I'll share my screen, and there will be a timer on the screen. You have to. Right. I think it's visible now. So the timer has started, and you have to submit before it ends. The G form will close at when the timer ends. Right. 5 more seconds, and the time is up. Right. So hopefully all of you have submitted your answer sheet, the G forms now. We'll be closing the responses now, right? And we'll be starting with the answer discussion, right? So, yes, let me present my screen again, right? So, question number one. Any hints or any guesses? I'll be checking the chat boxes now. Yeah, Banana Republic is the right answer. Raghav Kapoor, well done. Right. Moving on to question number two. Any guesses for this? Rich Dad Poor Dad is the right answer. Well done, guys. Moving on to question number three now. Any guesses? Right, KFC and sign language. Right. That is the right answer. I'll be playing a video now. Right. So basically, KFC enabled all its various franchises in India to be able to take orders in sign languages. Right. Question number four now. Any guesses? Chloroform is not exactly the right answer. Anesthesia is the right answer. Well done, guys. Right. Moving on to question number five now. Starma question. Yep, tracks is the right answers. So Mundo, they provide the running tracks where the athletes run. Right. So they have been doing that for 12 Olympics now. Moving on to question number six. Yep, Netflix is the right answer. Moving on to question number seven. Yep, Happy Meal is the right answer. Well done. Right. Moving on to question number eight. Any guesses for question number eight now? Yep, shoe leather cost is the right answer. Right. So like when you're going to back again and again, so the leather of your shoes are getting worn off. So that's why it's called shoe leather cost. Right. Moving on to question number nine now. Yep, it is Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Let's see, coffee brand. Yep, that is the brand of Hugh Jackman, and Ryan Reynolds is aviation gin. Right. Laughing Man is the brand of Hugh Jackman, and aviation gin of Ryan Reynolds. Right. So moving on to the next question, question number 10. Again, a Strama question. Right, well done, guys. You get the brownie points as well, gin and coffee brand. Yeah, very well done, very well guessed. Right, it is Italy and MTR. MTR full form is Mawali Tiffin Rooms. Right. So moving on to question number 11 now. Basically, Rava Italy because rice were short then. See, no guesses yet. Yeah, Dunder Mifflin is the right answer. So I guess there are some Office fans here. Right. So X is Dunder Mifflin and Y is Michael Scott Paper Company. Right. Moving on to question number 12 now. Lego is not exactly the right answer. Yep, scarf is the right answer. And what is unique about it? Yeah, reflective scarf will get you full points. So yeah, basically it's called the issue scarf, and whenever you take a photo while using a flash, so nothing will be captured except for the except for the scarf, right? Because it acts like a reflector on your bike. Right. Moving on to question number 13. Yeah, now the answer is right. That is, it is Red Bull we are talking about here. Right. Red Bull gives you wings. Right. Moving on to question number 14 now. Yep, liquid is partially correct. Liquid mercury is the right answer. Right. So it's the liquid glass mirror, right? And mercury is being used there. Right. Moving on to question number 15. Yep, Godrej is the right answer. And what is the product we are talking about here? Yep, ballot boxes will that will give you the second part of the answers, right? Very well guessed. Godrej and ballot boxes. Right. Moving on to question number 16 now. They would want to die. That isn't exactly want to die. Right. Diet will give you full marks. Right. So Tap Clear was marketed as a diet drink. Right. So when people heard that Tap Clear is a diet drink, so everyone assumed that Crystal Pepsi is also a diet drink, and like everyone had not the correct thoughts about diet drink back then. So they both failed. Right. So moving on to question number 17 now. Any guesses? Yep, mask is the right answer. Like, mask get you X. I guess. Like, can someone guess the art form we are talking about here? So I guess I don't see any guesses. So these are Chow mask. These are from Jharkhand, right? So moving on to question number 18 now. Yep, Starbucks is the right answer. And what is the strategy we are talking about? Yep, wrong name will get you the second part of the answer. Right, so it's Starbucks and misspelling names on their cups. So Melissa becomes Melissa, Gloria becomes Gloria, right, and so on. Right. Moving on to question number 90 now. Yep, space pen is the right answer. So certain idiot here being right, Rancho, of course, right, and the trivial solution being pencil, right. So space pen is the right answer. Moving on to question number 20. Again, a star mark question. Yep, tulip and bubble is the right answer. So this event is known as Tulip Mania, and this is a general model for a financial bubble. It rises, grows exponentially till it one day it just collapses. So as you can see, the tulip prices rises, and suddenly in 1 week it collapses. Right. So moving on to question number 21 now. Yeah, Adidas and three stripes will give you the right answer. Moving on to question number 22. So how exactly did they showcase their product here? Tattoo is not the right answer. Nice guess. So the word to focus on here was pale. Right. So since the fighter was pale, they decided to tan it on his body. So hashtag perfect tan, tan across the chest of Sam Melby. Right. So that's how they did it. Moving on to question number 23. Yup, Harambe is the right answer. It's the statue of Harambe in front of the statue of the charging bull. Right. Moving on to question number 24. Press camera. I don't know. We are talking about a prop here. Yeah, I see no guesses it. No correct guesses it. It's from a very famous movie. So moving on to the answer. The answer is lightsabers from Star Wars. So as you can see, the handle of the lightsaber resembles the handle on the camera. Right. So moving on to question number 25, the last question of the quiz. Again, a stomach question. Yep, Jeff Bezos is the subject of the question. The The song here is Bezos and I. Yeah, Bezos I. You have probably heard this song all across Instagram, right? TikTok, wherever, right? So that brings us to the end of the quiz. Thank you all for participating in the quiz, and we'll be out with the results as soon as we can, right? Thank you again for participating, and we'll look forward to see you all in our future events as well. Right. Thank you.